One of the most well-known, wealthiest persons in the world, Warren Buffett, is a successful business leader who employs a unique business style to achieve his goals. Mr. Buffett has achieved the status of one of the world's greatest leaders because he is a transformational moral leader. He has charisma that encourages a large number of followers, and he is able to balance his positional power and his personal power forms to achieve a business style that commands the achievement of desired aims and goals. Warren Buffett was born on August 30th in 1930 in Omaha, Nebraska, a place he has always called home. I, too, was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska, where Warren Buffett was a common household name and often referred to as the Oracle of Omaha or Sage of Omaha. He leads a very typical and modest life and has been in the same home in an older middle-class neighborhood since before I was even born. Warren's father was a stockbroker and United States congressman, so Warren was exposed to business finance strategies and politics from an early age. This exposure may have led to Warren's interest and subsequent investment into the market by 11 years of age. Warren first invested in 3 shares of Cities Services Preferred and held it while the stock declined from his original purchase of $38 per share to $27 per share, and then, with time, reached $40 per share. As an adult, Buffett has referred to this first experience as a lesson learned in patience in investing that would guide him through his entire life of investing. Mr. Buffett later went to the University of Pennsylvania for 2 years, where he studied business and finished his business degree at the University of Nebraska. He completed a master's program at Columbia Business School in 1951 and began his career selling securities at Buffett, Falk and Company for 3 years, as an analyst for Graham Newton Corporation for 2 years. It wasn't until 1962 that Warren Buffett started purchasing shares in the textile manufacturing business known as Berkshire Hathaway, where he would ultimately own the company in 1965. He transformed Berkshire Hathaway by turning it into a holdings company that would eventually own large businesses such as Geico, NetJets, Fruit of the Loom, and Helzberg Diamonds. In addition, this holdings company owns a significant holdings in many well-known companies including Wells Fargo, Apple, American Express, and IBM, and many more. According to the latest Forbes count, Warren is currently tipping the wealth scales at $73.1 billion and was listed as the 3rd wealthiest man in the United States. Warren Buffett uses transformational moral leadership to lead his managers and investment followers down a successful path. Burns describes transformational leadership as leaders who help followers operate at a higher level of moral development and allow followers to do the same for themselves as leaders. He says that good leaders use conflict and social grouping to build consensus for morality and a better understanding of values and common goals. Leaders serve the needs of the followers and help them become leaders, and followers serve their leaders. This style of leadership is similar to servant leadership, but adds the component of engaging followers in a discussion of values and uses conflicts to build consensus and a better understanding of values and common goals. Leaders serve the needs of followers and help them become leaders, and followers serve their leaders. This style of leadership is similar to servant leadership, but adds the component of engaging followers in a discussion of values and uses conflict to build consensus and a better understanding of values and common goals. Warren Buffett exemplifies this style of leadership. In his role as a transformational leader, Time magazine named him as one of the world's most influential people in the world in 2012. Warren Buffett allows his managers the freedom to manage with direct access to him as they see needed. Buffett grants autonomy to his chief executives with the perspective that an owner's mindset is highly valued. He is a leader who is training his followers to be leaders, in this case the managers of the holding companies he owns. While allowing for management autonomy, Warren does connect his groups by listening to his followers and building upon the shared business ethics.
You're good.
He is known for his famous sound bites or quotes that summarize group goals for accomplishment. One such example of these business mantras that bring his companies together is, quote, "It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you will do things differently," end quote. This is a prime example of his moral leadership and the way that he builds consensus around business ethics. Another of his quotes is, quote, "Honesty is a very expensive gift. Do not expect it from cheap people," end quote. This exemplifies his strong moral leadership style. Still, some of his other mantras exemplify how he builds consensus for business goals, including, quote, "If you buy things you do not need, soon you will have to sell things you need," end quote. And, quote, "Price is what you pay, value is what you get," end quote. The business ethics are formulated amongst groups and shared publicly with companies within the holdings as well as investors so that all share common ethics and goals. Warren Buffett has a charismatic style that sets him apart from other leaders. This is most evident by the number of companies that draw to him, as well as the number of investors that do the same. Weber describes charismatic leaders as a leader who uses charisma that is exceptional and sets him apart from others, where followers are drawn to their superhuman natural qualities and powers. Great charismatic leaders turn their personal qualities into successful movements for change in society. Charisma leads to change and success. Society depends on charismatic leaders to come forward every so often to shake things up. Robert Solomon found a much more useful way in describing the charismatic leader. He found the word charisma vague and not very useful. So he suggested a set of analytic categories to specifically describe a charismatic leader. The analytic categories that Solomon suggests include what the leader is saying, persuasiveness, rhetoric, and hopes and fears of the audience, enthusiasm, personality traits, celebrity, situation, change, and continuity. As demonstrated by his public quotes, Warren Buffett is a leader who has power in what he is saying. He is often quoted in business journals and magazines and is highly regarded for his comments on business and financial management. From large corporations to small businesses, they all utilize his words of wisdom as an ethical businessman with successful experience. In addition to what he says, Warren listens to the hopes and fears of his followers and incorporates this information in his decision making. In his annual meetings, Warren meets with investors and company executives to better understand their hopes in building their diversified financial portfolios. He understands all too well the investor fears of the market downfall and utilizes his experience in hiring and acquiring the best people, as well as diversification in types of businesses to include in the holdings. His famous quotes, quote, "Never depend on a single income, make investment to create a second source," end quote, and, quote, "Never put all your eggs into one basket," end quote, exemplify his active response to the fears of his followers. Solomon also addresses analytic categories of celebrity, enthusiasm, and personality traits. Warren's charisma in these categories is well known. He is known for being frugal and living modestly for a billionaire, which demonstrates that he is humble as well as modest. He is said to be one of the greatest philanthropists of all time and has already arranged to donate over 99% of his wealth to charities upon his demise. He has started a philanthropic movement that is encouraging other people of his wealth and stature to donate generously to charities. He is famous around the globe for his business ethics and success, and could be considered a business celebrity. His enthusiasm for business, investment, and financial management is demonstrated through the thematic annual meetings he holds that draw hundreds of thousands of people. For most companies, these meetings are bland and not well attended, but meet the requirements for their stockholders. However, Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway droves of shareholders anticipate and plan for attendance at the annual meetings. They are welcomed, educated, and treated with discounts and entertainment. Buffett's enthusiasm for his company spreads like wildfire throughout the entire annual weekend event. Finally, Solomon addresses the analytical categories of situation, change, and continuity in charismatic leaders while holding the followers' trust. Mr. Buffett adapts to situations and changes in the times as he makes decisions about his investment companies. For example, in his annual letter to stockholders in 1999, Buffett pointed out that he and the vice president chairman, Charlie Munger, avoided the technology sector investments because they had no insights into which participants in the tech field possess a truly durable competitive advantage. This exemplifies his recognition of situational changes, such as the increase in world technology and the cautious attempts to become thoroughly knowledgeable in this area to be consistent in selecting the best and most profitable companies in the field. This continuity in decision-making has allowed him and his followers to reap the benefits of the businesses within the holdings of Berkshire Hathaway. Company managers and investment followers have grown to trust Mr. Buffett because of his ability to adapt to change in society as well as the marketplace while providing continuity in his investment strategies over time. As Andrew Hill best put it, quote, Berkshire's ability to sustain its federation rests on decades of trust invested in two men. Other business leaders should adopt elements of Mr. Buffett's approach. His sharp focus on rectitude and reputation, his careful emphasis on positive feedback to motivate improved performance. Warren Buffett has a unique leadership style that balances his positional power with his personal power. As we learned from Yuko, leadership can be defined as the influence over followers using these two types of power. Yuko describes positional power as having the formal authority over others. This formal authority comes from the position you hold in a company or business as a manager, owner, or corporate executive officer. A leader with formal authority has positional power over resources, information, rewards, and punishments offered to followers. This type of power offers the leader power and control over his followers. As a world-renowned business leader and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, Mr. Buffett has positional power with formal authority and control over the necessary resources, information, rewards, and punishment to lead his followers. He has superior knowledge and expertise in the investment and financial management fields, which allow his followers to trust his lead. He in turn trusts his company managers and allows them freedom and autonomy to continue to lead with their strengths and is available to them for support as they deem necessary. Buffett uses public recognition of his managers in both the annual report and annual meetings. In this way, he shapes the behavior of his managers by stimulating public praise for their positive business decisions. Mr. Buffett also uses rewards for his shareholders who not only benefit from their dividends, but are also treated to store discounts, educational speeches, and entertainment during the annual meetings held in Omaha and several other cities simultaneously. This year's annual theme of Berkeyville provided a shopping extravaganza with the conference center as well as frisbees and deep discounts at Nebraska Furniture Mart, Borsheim's, and other Omaha companies within the holdings. Of course, Warren Buffett also demonstrates personal power over his followers. According to Yuko, this embraces his expertise, friendship and loyalty, and charisma. These qualities have been exemplified throughout previous discussions of Mr. Buffett's moral leadership and charismatic style. He is truly one who attracts followers using both his years of continued education, intuition, and experience to become an expert in the field, as well as his charismatic qualities to not only keep his followers, but to continually attract new followers on a constant basis. More importantly, as a charismatic leader, he has been able to successfully implement change in the world of business. Warren Buffett is a world-renowned business leader who exemplifies transformational moral leadership and charismatic style. His positional and personal powers have allowed him to implement positive business change and lead management and investment followers to the success of their goals for the company and for investment. His contributions as a business leader are immeasurable, and many good leaders have evolved from his leadership style.